When should you quit your 9 to 5 to focus solely on your business? All right, let's get started. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that a lot of us deal with. When is the best time to quit the 9 to 5? When is the best time to leave your job to just focus on your business, or even probably transition to, another job as well? Now, when I first started my businesses and fully going entrepreneur, this was 20 plus years ago. I was working for a pharmaceutical company, and I was literally doing the base level of just doing work and just not even trying to get anything done. I was just trying to milk the clock. And a lot of us already know we're just trying to milk the clock because the management is not good. You're just going through a whole transition. You're just done with that. And that's where I was at. I had a side business, side hustle at the time where I was doing marketing. I started doing, graphics and started getting some projects and different things, started steamrolling. And then an opportunity came and somebody said, hey, we got this small little office space. And I actually said, okay, we worked out something, and I was able to do some work for them and get a very low discount. So I was doing my 9 to 5, and I was still doing, now I had an actual office space. What changed for me was, it was two things. One, I was probably about to get fired anyway because they were starting to figure out where is Keshon hiding at? Why hasn't he done, these different things? So if you're at that place, you're probably on your way to get fired. So you need to either look for another job or really get really serious about, this 9 to 5. But on a serious note, something happened where the money I was bringing in from my side hustle started becoming more than what I was actually bringing home from my 9 to 5. And eventually I held on because it's a scared place to be at where you're really pondering, hey, I just want to quit this job. But that job also gives you comfort. It gives you stability. Stability is huge. And it gave you somewhat certainty, although, as we know now, certainty is never the case when you're working for someone. But I end up making the leap. I said, this is it. And I jumped full in, to the 9 to 5, to my entrepreneur. And I actually had, a great start. The money just kept coming in. And at the initial time, a lot of it was just referrals because I wasn't really understanding marketing, and referrals, it kept me very hungry, and it kept me very busy. And I was also, when I had my small office, I was in a place with other businesses. Think about that. I was in a place that referrals came easy. So there was like 5 or 6 other businesses that was in our office space, and they all needed things to get done, and we all kind of fed off each other. So at that time for me, it made sense to go ahead and do it. Now, ever since then, I've never went back, to work. I've had to keep innovating and involving my business, but I had a lot of ups and downs. And years later, once I, had kids and a wife, and it got even more stressed because the money that I was bringing in was enough money for me, but it wasn't enough for the whole family. So I went through this, and entrepreneurs, you're going to go through this fight or flight where you're like, it's not enough money that's coming in. The bills are starting to stack. Now I have to pay multiple bills if I have a physical location, and then I have, where I live at. I got other expenses, kids and stuff. Now you're dealing with more stress because it's not just about you no more. You have all these dynamic variables that are really playing with your life, and it becomes such a stress because the money is not there or it's not enough. And you go through this battle, and it's a mental battle where you're saying, I may have to quit this. This may not be working. I may have to just go back and get a 9 to 5. And when you're thinking that, it's depressing. You're dealing with rejection. You're dealing with the failure in there. So you have to find a way to be balanced. So I always stress with entrepreneurs, make sure you have multiple streams, of income. So once you're so seasoned down this, you understand how critical it is to actually have that. So when you're looking to actually quit your 9 to 5 and just jump into a business, if the business is not thriving or if the business hasn't even launched, make sure that the money, your reserve, is enough to cover at least, they said 6 months, I say almost a year. You need to have enough money to cover, because your business that you're about to start, you need to look at everything. You need to look at who your manufacturers, your product, if you're going to hire staff. When do you expect, and be realistic, when do you expect money to start coming in? When do you expect your slow season? And that part is huge. When you're starting a new business, look at when you expect your slow season. We don't hear that enough. We look at everything else, but I think it's critical as a business is look at your competition, look at the market, and ask yourself, okay, here's my peak seasons where I expect to make this amount of money, and then these are industry slow seasons when it's slow. And prepare yourself. Be prepared for the slow season. We never hear about that within business. We're like, okay, well, we're moving, and then we're going down the slow dive, and we panic. But if you're already preparing, saying, okay, this is standard in the industry. So looking at that, it can change your whole outlook of how you're actually going to approach, these slow seasons, because during the peak seasons, you want to maximize and take as much as you can. A lot of times at peak season, we're like, okay, this is cool, the money's coming in. You don't know when that slow season come in if you haven't prepared and done your research, and it can happen drastically. We've had slow seasons where we're making $300,000 a month, and then the next month that drops to $100,000, like that, and then it drops under $100,000. We're like, okay, we gotta figure out something. Those are scary moments, and you have to be prepared. Now, as we understand, the seasons, we make those adjustments. So when you're looking at quitting your 9 to 5, look at all of that. Look at the whole business life cycle. And if you look at all that, you got the reserve, go ahead and make that jump. Go ahead. I mean, I'm not the expert. You've got to be able to look at all the variables and make the best decision that's going to allow you to, start this business that you're really wanting to do. Now, financing. If you go get financing, make sure you have enough money to cover the slow season, to cover the different variables. Don't go and get financing and then say, okay, we'll give you $5,000, and you quit your job. You went just got a finance of $10,000. Understand that money is going to be going so fast. It's going to be going so fast. So you got to be able to have, a plan. And the strategy is definitely to quit your job. But you can also look at it, not just say when I want to quit my 9 to 5. Maybe look at it from a strategy of saying, okay, as the business is starting to make money, I may go part-time. I may go part-time. I may quit this job and get, a side job just to make sure. And it's not, I've always been in this entrepreneur thing, and you see it online where they say, just you're not really an entrepreneur if you're not fully, doing just 100% entrepreneur. Don't fall for all the BS and the flakiness. If you have a business and the business is successful, I know a lot of people who have successful businesses who actually still work, a 9 to 5, and some of them have it because they may be 3 or 4 years out of just retiring, and they're just like, I might as well just finish the retiring. I got my main business on automation, and it's driving money in. It only makes sense. We've been taught so much stuff, and it's a lot of ego-driven tactics, and it doesn't work. Don't go into a situation when you don't know and you're not prepared for all of the variables. Now, there are some of you who are just going to say, I'm not making no money my 9 to 5, so I might as well jump in, with the business. And I say, okay, that money that you're making from your 9 to 5, understand whether you got bills or not. That is if you look at your 9 to 5 as a business, that's your gross income and your net profit. That's just how it's business. Business, you have to pay out all these different bills. Those bills don't go. Those bills actually get higher. So you have these bills. And then you have your expenses, you have expenses when you're working a 9 to 5. The structures are almost the same. And then your business, you got to pay yourself. In 9 to 5, that the leftover money you get for 9 to 5 is yours. You don't got to worry about paying nothing else because a lot of these 9 to 5, they take care of your taxes. They take care of all your miscellaneous stuff. A business, that all falls on you. So you got a 9 to 5, you can just clock out and just, when you're done with your 9 to 5, you could, whatever times and hours you work, when you're done, you can be done. A lot of people take their job home, and I get that. With a business, there's no saying I'm done.